Welcome to Real Daily Talks, where simple English becomes real speaking.
Today we have a really useful topic. We're going to talk about how to discuss your first job in English.
This is such an important topic because everyone asks about your work experience. Whether you're in a job interview, meeting new people, or just having a conversation with friends, knowing how to talk about your first job is really helpful.
And honestly, talking about your first job is a great conversation topic. Everyone has interesting stories about their first job. Some are funny, some are embarrassing, and some teach us important lessons.
Exactly. So if you find this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.
All right, let's get started.
Hey Ryan, how are you today?
I'm pretty good, Sophia. A little tired, though. I stayed up late last night watching a documentary about space. How about you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I had a very productive weekend. I cleaned my apartment and organized all my books. It took forever, but now everything looks nice.
That sounds very organized. Very Sophia. My weekend was the opposite. I just relaxed and did nothing. Well, I did go to a coffee shop on Saturday morning.
Oh, which coffee shop?
That new one near the park, the one with the blue door. I had a really good cappuccino there. The barista was very friendly.
Nice. Did you talk to the barista?
A little bit. She asked me what I do for work, and I told her I make educational videos. Then she asked about my first job, and I told her this funny story about working at a pizza restaurant.
Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're talking about today.
Yeah, speaking of first jobs, I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation.
Me too. Let's dive in. So, Ryan, let's start with the basics. What was your first job?
My first job was at a pizza restaurant. I was 16 years old, and I worked as a delivery driver. Well, actually, I did many different things. I delivered pizzas, I cleaned tables, and sometimes I helped make pizzas.
That sounds like a busy job. How did you get that job?
My older brother worked there, and he told me they needed more workers. So I went to the restaurant, filled out an application, and the manager interviewed me the same day. It was a very quick process.
Did you feel nervous during the interview?
Oh, yes, very nervous. It was my first interview ever. I remember my hands were shaking when I filled out the application form. But the manager was very nice. He asked me simple questions like, can you work on weekends? And do you have a driver's license?
And you got the job right away?
Yes, he said, you can start on Saturday. I was so happy. I called my mom immediately and told her the good news.
That's a great story. My first job was very different. I worked at a bookstore when I was 17 years old.
A bookstore? That sounds perfect for you. You love reading.
I do. That's actually why I wanted to work there. I applied online, and then I had an interview with the store manager. The interview took about 30 minutes.
What kind of questions did they ask you?
The manager asked me about my favorite books, why I wanted to work there, and if I had any experience with customer service. I didn't have any experience, but I told her I was a fast learner and I loved helping people.
And she hired you?
Not immediately. She said, we'll call you in a few days. I had to wait 3 days and I was so worried. I thought maybe I didn't get the job. But then she called and said I could start the following Monday.
3 days feels like forever when you're waiting for an answer.
It really does. So tell me, what was your first day like at the pizza restaurant?
My first day was crazy. I was so nervous. I arrived 15 minutes early because I didn't want to be late. The manager gave me a uniform, a red shirt, and a black cap, and then he started training me.
What did the training involve?
First, he showed me how to use the cash register. That was confusing because there were so many buttons. Then he taught me how to answer the phone and take orders. People called and said things very fast, and I had to write everything down.
Did you make any mistakes?
Oh, so many mistakes. On my second day, I took a phone order and I wrote down the wrong address. I delivered the pizza to the wrong house. The customer was so angry.
Oh, no. What did you do?
I apologized many times and went back to the restaurant to get another pizza. My manager wasn't happy, but he understood. He said, everyone makes mistakes when they start. Just be more careful next time.
That's good advice. My first day at the bookstore was also stressful. I had to learn how to use the computer system to look up books. It was an old system and it was very slow.
Did you work alone or with other people?
I worked with 3 other people. There was another girl my age named Emily and 2 older women named Margaret and Susan. Emily became my good friend. We worked together almost every shift.
That's nice. Having a work friend makes everything easier. At the pizza place, I worked with my brother and 4 other drivers. We all became friends. After work, sometimes we went to get ice cream together.
What were your working hours like?
I worked part-time because I was still in high school. I worked Thursday and Friday evenings from 5 to 10 p.m. and then Saturday from 12 to 9 p.m. It was about 16 hours per week.
Did you ever work on school nights?
Yes, Thursday and Friday. Sometimes I had homework, so I did my homework during my lunch break at school. It was challenging to balance work and school.
I understand. I worked on weekends only, Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That was about 12 hours per week. My parents didn't want me to work during the week because of school.
That makes sense. So what did you actually do with the bookstore? What were your responsibilities?
I helped customers find books, I organized shelves, and I worked at the cash register. My favorite part was helping customers. People came in and said, "I'm looking for a book about gardening," or "Do you have any mystery novels?" And I helped them find what they needed.
Did you have to memorize where all the books were?
Not memorize exactly, but I learned the system. The books were organized by category and then alphabetically by author's last name. After a few weeks, I knew where most things were.
That's impressive. I could never memorize where things were at the pizza place. I always had to ask my brother, "Where are the napkins?" or "Where do we keep the extra boxes?"
Did you like the delivery part of your job?
Yes and no. I liked driving around and listening to music in the car, but I didn't like going to houses in bad weather. In the winter, it was so cold, and when it rained, I got completely wet.
Did people tip you?
Most people did. Usually they gave me $2 or $3. Some people were very generous and gave me $5 or $10. But some people didn't tip at all, and that was disappointing.
I didn't get tips at the bookstore because I worked at a regular store, not a restaurant. But I got paid every 2 weeks, and that felt amazing.
How much did you make?
I made $8 an hour, so every 2 weeks I got about $200. It doesn't sound like much now, but at 17 years old, it felt like a fortune.
I made $7 an hour plus tips. Some nights I made $30 or $40 in tips. Those were good nights.
What did you do with your money?
At first, I saved everything because I wanted to buy a new laptop. But after a few months, I started spending money on things like video games, movies, and food with friends. What about you?
I saved half and spent half. I put $100 in my savings account and used $100 for things I wanted. I bought clothes, books, and sometimes I went to restaurants with my friends.
Did your parents let you spend your money however you wanted?
Mostly, yes. They were happy I was learning about money management, but they gave me advice. My dad always said, save at least half of what you earn.
Good advice. I wish I had saved more. So, what was the hardest part of your first job?
The hardest part was dealing with difficult customers. Most people were nice, but sometimes people were rude or impatient. One time, a woman yelled at me because we didn't have the book she wanted. She said, "What kind of bookstore doesn't have this book?"
What did you say?
I stayed calm and said, "I'm sorry, we don't have it in stock, but I can order it for you. It will arrive in 5 days." She was still angry, but she let me order it.
That's good. Staying calm is important. The hardest part of my job was dealing with late deliveries. Sometimes the kitchen was very busy and the pizzas took a long time to make. Then I delivered them late and customers were angry.
But that wasn't your fault.
I know, but customers didn't care. They just wanted their pizza. I learned to apologize and explain the situation. I said things like, "I'm very sorry for the delay. The kitchen was very busy tonight."
Did you ever think about quitting?
Once or twice, yes. There were some really bad days when I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I remembered I needed the money, and most days were actually okay.
I felt the same way. Some days were frustrating, but overall, I enjoyed my job, and I learned so many important skills.
Like what?
I learned how to talk to different kinds of people, how to solve problems, how to be responsible, and how to manage my time. These skills helped me in all my future jobs.
Absolutely. I learned similar things. I also learned how to be punctual. If I was late, customers didn't get their pizza on time, and that was a problem. So I learned to always leave home early and plan my route carefully.
How long did you work at the pizza restaurant?
I worked there for about 1 year. I left when I graduated from high school and went to college. The job was too far from my college, so I had to find something closer.
I worked at the bookstore for 2 years. I worked there during high school and during my first year of college. I left because I got an internship at a publishing company, and I couldn't do both.
Do you have any funny memories from that job?
Yes, many. One time, a little boy came into the store and asked me, "Do you have books about dinosaurs that eat vegetables?" He was so serious and specific. I helped him find 3 different books, and he was so happy.
That's adorable. I have a funny memory, too. One time I delivered a pizza to a house, and when the person opened the door, their dog ran out and jumped on me. The pizza box fell on the ground, and the pizza went everywhere.
Oh no, what happened?
The customer felt terrible. She apologized so many times and gave me a $20 tip. My manager gave her a free pizza, and everyone was happy in the end.
That's a good ending. Did you stay in touch with anyone from your first job?
I stayed in touch with my brother, of course, and one of the other drivers, a guy named Marcus, is still my friend today. We message each other sometimes. What about you?
I'm still friends with Emily, the girl I worked with. We don't see each other often, but we talk on social media. She's a teacher now.
That's nice. Looking back, do you think your first job was a good experience?
Definitely. It taught me so much about work and responsibility. It also gave me confidence. Before that job, I was shy and nervous around people, but after working with customers every day, I became more confident.
I feel the same way. My first job was challenging, but it prepared me for adult life. I'm grateful for that experience.
You know, Ryan, while we were talking, we used many useful words and phrases about first jobs. I think we should explain some of them for our viewers.
That's a great idea. Let's go through the important vocabulary.
First word, application. An application is a form you fill out when you want to get a job. You write your name, your contact information, your education, and your work experience.
Right. I remember filling out my application at the pizza restaurant. It took about 15 minutes. For example, you can say, "I filled out an application online," or "The manager gave me an application form."
Good. Next word, interview. An interview is a meeting where an employer asks you questions to decide if you are right for the job. It's like a conversation, but more formal.
Yes, and interviews can be short or long. My first interview was only 10 minutes, but my friend had an interview that lasted an hour.
You can say, "I have an interview tomorrow at 2 p.m., or "My interview went very well." What should people do to prepare for an interview?
They should research the company, prepare answers to common questions, and dress professionally.
Excellent advice. Next word, hire. When a company hires you, it means they give you the job. It's the verb we use when someone gets employed.
For example, they hired me immediately, or the company hired 5 new workers last month.
The opposite of hire is fire. If a company fires you, it means they end your employment, usually because you did something wrong or they don't need you anymore.
Hopefully that never happens, but it's good to know the word.
Next phrase, customer service. Customer service means helping customers and making sure they are happy. If you work at a store, a restaurant, or any place with customers, you provide customer service.
Both of our first jobs involved customer service. I helped pizza customers and you helped bookstore customers.
Exactly. You can say, "I worked in customer service for 2 years," or "She has excellent customer service skills."
What makes good customer service, Sophia?
Good customer service means being friendly, patient, helpful, and polite. Even when customers are difficult, you stay calm and professional.
That's hard sometimes, but very important.
Next word, shift. A shift is the period of time you work. For example, if you work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., that's your shift.
Some people work morning shifts, some work afternoon shifts, and some work night shifts. At the pizza place, I usually worked evening shifts.
You can say, "I work the morning shift on Monday and Wednesday," or "My shift starts at 6 p.m.
And when your shift ends, you can say, "I'm off work now," or "My shift is over."
Next word, tip. A tip is extra money you give to someone for good service. In restaurants, people usually tip servers and delivery drivers.
Yes, tips were very important to me. On good days, I made a lot of money from tips. You can say, "I gave the waiter a $5 tip," or "She tips 20% at restaurants."
In some countries, tipping is expected. In other countries, it's not common. It depends on the culture.
That's true. When I traveled to Japan, I learned that tipping is not customary there.
Next word, salary or wage. Both words mean the money you earn from your job. Salary is usually for full-time professional jobs, and wage is usually for hourly jobs.
Right. At my first job, I earned an hourly wage. I made $7 per hour. If someone works a professional job, they might say, my salary is $50,000 per year.
You can say, what's your salary? Or the minimum wage in the city is $15 per hour.
And we also use the word paycheck. A paycheck is the money you receive from your employer, usually every 2 weeks or every month.
For example, I get my paycheck every Friday, or my paycheck was bigger this month because I worked overtime.
What does overtime mean?
Great question. Overtime means extra hours you work beyond your normal schedule. Usually, employers pay you more money for overtime hours.
So if you normally work 40 hours per week, but you work 45 hours, those extra 5 hours are overtime.
Exactly. I worked 10 hours of overtime last week, so my paycheck was bigger.
Next word, quit. When you quit a job, it means you decide to leave voluntarily. It's different from being fired because quitting is your choice.
Right. You can say, I quit my job last month, or she quit because she found a better opportunity.
Usually when you quit, you give your employer notice. This means you tell them 2 weeks before you leave, so they have time to find a replacement.
For example, I gave my 2 weeks notice yesterday. This is polite and professional.
Last phrase, work experience. Work experience means all the jobs you've had and the skills you learn from those jobs.
When someone asks, do you have any work experience? They want to know about your previous jobs. You can say, I have 3 years of work experience in retail, or this is my first job, so I don't have much work experience.
Work experience is very important because it shows employers that you know how to work and you have useful skills.
Exactly. Okay, let's quickly review all the vocabulary we just learned.
Application, interview, hire, fire, customer service, shift, tip, salary, wage, paycheck, overtime, quit, and work experience.
Perfect. These words will help you talk about jobs in English. Okay, Ryan, that was a lot of talking about first jobs. I think we covered everything.
We really did. We talked for a long time, but it's an important topic, so I think it was worth it.
Definitely. So let's think about what we learned today. When you talk about your first job in English, there are several things you should be able to discuss.
Right, let's break it down.
First, we learned how to describe what your first job was and where you worked. You can use simple phrases like, my first job was at, or I worked as a, or I was employed at a. For example, my first job was at a bookstore, or I worked as a delivery driver.
Then we talked about how you got the job. This includes talking about the application process and the interview. You can say things like, I filled out an application, I had an interview with the manager, and they hired me right away, or I had to wait a few days.
After that, we discussed how to describe your first day and your training. You can say, my first day was nervous. They trained me on how to use the equipment. Or I made some mistakes at the beginning.
We also learned how to talk about your responsibilities and daily tasks. Use phrases like, I was responsible for, my job was to, or I had to. For example, I was responsible for helping customers, or I had to deliver pizzas.
Next, we covered how to discuss your working hours and schedule. You can say, I worked part-time, or I worked from 9 to 5. I worked on weekends, or I had evening shifts.
We also talked about money, how much you earned and what you did with it. You can say, I made $8 per hour, I got paid every 2 weeks, I saved my money, or I spent it on things I needed.
Then, we discussed challenges and difficult situations. You can explain problems by saying, the hardest part was, or sometimes I had difficult customers, or I struggled with, and then explain how you solved those problems.
And finally, we talked about what you learned from your first job and why it was important. You can say, I learned how to be responsible. The job taught me important skills, or it was a valuable experience.
See? When you break it down like this, talking about your first job is actually quite simple. You just need to know the right vocabulary and phrases.
And remember, your first job is a great conversation topic. Everyone has a first job story, so people are always interested to hear about it.
Now, we want to hear from you. This is our favorite part.
Yes, we love reading your comments and learning about your experiences.
Our question of the day is, what was your first job and what is one thing you learned from it?
That's a good question. Let me answer first. My first job was a pizza delivery driver, and one thing I learned was how to manage my time. I had to deliver pizzas quickly, but also safely. This taught me to be efficient and organized.
Great answer. My first job was at a bookstore, and one thing I learned was how to communicate with different types of people. Every customer was different, and I had to adjust my communication style. This skill helped me in all my future jobs and in my personal life.
See, we have different answers, and that's okay. Everyone learns something different from their first job.
So, viewers, we want to know about you. What was your first job? Where did you work, and what did you learn?
Maybe you worked at a restaurant, or a store, or an office. Maybe you were a teacher or a babysitter. Whatever your first job was, we want to hear about it.
Please tell us in the comments below. You can write something like, my first job was at a coffee shop, and I learned how to work under pressure. Or, my first job was babysitting, and I learned how to be patient.
Don't worry if your English isn't perfect. We're all learning together. The important thing is to practice.
And reading your comments helps us make better videos for you. When we know about your experiences, we can create lessons that are more useful and relevant.
Plus, writing in English is great practice, so please leave a comment. We read every single one.
We're excited to read your stories. Thank you so much for watching today's video about how to talk about your first job in English.
We hope you learned some useful vocabulary and phrases that you can use in your conversations.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps us and shows us that you like this type of content.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the little bell notification icon. That way you won't miss any of our new videos.
We post new English lessons every day, and we cover so many different topics, from everyday conversations to work situations to travel English. We have something for everyone.
You are all great students, and we're so happy you're here learning with us.
Keep practicing your English every day. Remember, the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Even if you make mistakes, that's okay. Mistakes are part of learning.
And don't be afraid to use English in real situations. Talk to people, write comments, practice speaking. Every bit of practice helps.
We believe in you, and we're here to support your English learning journey.
Have a wonderful day, evening, and night wherever you are in the world.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.